A day with you. I know this is a lot, as you can imagine, being a long relationship, marriage. I'm cutting a few things out to shorten it up, but feel free to ask for clarification. Please excuse any grammar or punctuation errors. I typed this up as quick as possible. My high school sweetheart of 17 years recently cheated on me back in September, then continued talking to the guy after wanting to do marriage therapy. A little bit of background on us, both 34. We met each other in high school in senior year 2011 and dated for a while, until 2021 when things go serious and got married. We both moved to another state where we lived for 3 years and everything was awesome. Intimacy, quality time, affection, love for each, everything. Then we decided we wanted to move back home to Texas to be closer to family. That's when everything went downhill. No kids, by the way. I got a transfer with the same company, but she got a new job where she works as an attorney for the state. Her job is 60 miles away. Things started to get rocky when within the first year she was coming home at midnight to 1 a.m. about 2 to 3 days of the week. It seemed really strange that someone would need to work that late, but I thought maybe that's the job of an attorney. She started making new friends, hanging out with during happy hour, then she would go back to the office and work. She made a new male co-worker that she brought around me on weekends to hang out with, and I was always a bit suspicious of their very close behavior but didn't pay too much mind. Slowly things started changing in our marriage. Intimacy and desire for me was not there, no quality time, personality was cold, not affection. In other words, it was the complete opposite of what I had experienced before. I started getting suspicious, but at the same time I started asking her why things feel different and why she has to work late all the time. She started looking at it as me nagging and complained about why I always complained. I started feeling like I was secondary and felt neglected at home. My world revolved around her so much of the time. I'd be looking forward to her coming home on time, only to find out she would be coming home at midnight. Most of the nights I ate dinner by myself. As I started feeling neglected, I felt something was wrong, so I started getting more and more suspicious. For months I started looking into her phone when she would go to sleep to find any explanation. One night I found an exchange between her and the same male co-worker. The exchange basically involved "I love you" and how much the guy co-worker had fun. The next day I was fuming and confronted her about it, and she admitted they messed around, made out for 10 minutes, and touched each other intimately when he was driving her back to her car after a happy hour, which she never told me about. She said they had talked about it and realized it was a mistake. I was so hurt. She then suggested she wanted to do marriage therapy, and I took that as she wanted to make things work. We started going to marriage therapy shortly after, and things were going somewhat okay. I thought there were some things I could change, so I started working on those things, even bought 5 love languages which she never read. Her, on the other hand, the only real thing she started doing was coming home on time. Things seemed a little off, like it was hard to put my finger, and I even told the therapist that I didn't feel like my wife was making an effort. Long story short, I found she had another phone she was using to talk, using the app to talk to the guy she messed around with. This app allowed her to make calls over home internet or data so that I wouldn't see the guy's phone number on her cell account since I got a hold of her login information. I found this out because I realized she was hiding her car keys under the bed mattress, and she had this phone in the glove compartment of her car. I was extremely angry and upset and confronted her about it, and she made me look like I was the crazy one. She then blurted out that she wanted a divorce. I moved out and have been living at my sister-in-law's for 2 weeks. Since all of this, she texted me and said that she's sorry, but that she feels like she needs some separate time off to clear her head. I just don't know what to even think. I'm so confused because I can honestly say I think I'm a pretty good husband. I do practically everything around the house. She recently texted me that she was unhappy and wanted a divorce but was scared to tell me. I honestly think that she is blaming me for unhappiness when she was in reality having feelings for another guy. Some tidbits after finding out. She was talking to this guy to and from work for more than an hour. On the day I found out, I looked at her phone bill and found out she was talking to him for more than 3 hours while I was at my sister-in-law's, so distraught and crying. She claims they are just best friends but admits she had feelings for him. I just don't understand why at a time where there's a marriage crisis you would pick your relationship with him over our marriage and my feelings and what I'm going through. The only thing I can think of is that she still has feelings for this guy, and that hurts so much. I'm at wit ends. I honestly have nothing in me left. I don't see how I can even trust her after this. Even then, I can't ever understand how she would have ever wanted a divorce when all I wanted was for her to spend more time with me and not pick her job over me. As I said, I did mostly everything around the house. I just feel like she totally took me for granted. Maybe her love has died down for me. I don't know. I'm just wondering if anyone has ever been in this position where they were cheated on, then did therapy only to find out they were still talking to the other person. The worst feelings are the thought of the person you love so much having feelings for another person other than you. That hurts. It's the worst feeling that I have ever experienced. I've given up mentally. I guess I'm just waiting for something miraculous to happen, but don't think it will happen. 90% of me is done. 10% is thinking maybe she'll have some epiphany of what all she has done. I feel so stupid. Comment. Life gets a lot easier when you stop trying to get someone who doesn't love you to do so. Give up and move on to a better life. I know it's painful, but sometimes in life things end. Better translated, I need time away from you to screw his ever-loving light sockets out without you being remotely anywhere around. Go ahead and give her the air. You really have nothing left to stay with her for. IMHO, there is probably less than a 1% chance that she'll come crawling back to you after she has blatantly cheated on you. And perchance that she did, who in the hell would want her back anyway? She deliberately slapped you in the face and then rewarded some other guy with a good time for all of the loyalty which you gave her and had you thinking that you were getting right back from her in return. Time to open up a brand new chapter in your life and find yourself a woman who will truly love you for the man that you are. OP responds, I wanted to offer some additional information and in no way am I trying to defend her. I'm a logical person and I was trying to find reasons behind the why. After finding the phone she was using to continue talking to him, she justified the need to talk to him because he was her best friend and the only person she can talk to about the incident. She said she went to the lengths of hiding the phone because she didn't want to hear me blow up. She said she was trying to have some peace in her life and can't deal with me blowing up. Before me finding out and while we're going to marriage therapy, she was claiming she was close to having a mental breakdown, and since all of this her blood pressure is out of control and has been seeing a doctor. There was one time when I was venting to her about how frustrated and angry I am and she told me to stop because she can't deal with this, especially with how her health is. She said time and time again in text to me after all this that she knows she's unhappy but doesn't understand why. She continues to say that I need to understand that they were best friends and she had no one to talk to about what's been going on. Also, this guy is married and has 3 kids, so I don't know what she was even trying to get out of him. I think they shared the same interests and it was an emotional thing that became a little physical one night. She said it was a mistake and that they drank a little, but you just don't make out with a guy and do all that out of nowhere. According to her, they just messed around and they've never ever had slept together. As I said, I'm a logical person and nothing of what is going on makes sense. The only simple explanation I have, and what others have said too, is that she no longer has the same feelings for me she had before. I feel like she invested a lot of emotion and feelings towards this guy and started liking it. When I was at home nagging her about how I wanted her to be warmer to me and spend more time with me, she probably had nothing in her left for me and was probably just annoyed. She admitted she had a crush on the guy, so I don't understand why she continues to say they were just best friends and she felt the need to continue talking to him. Is our marriage just not important? Nor my feelings, the betrayal I just went through, and you do it again by hiding another phone. I've never felt this many different types of emotions. I think it's close to end. It's hard to believe that it's come to end this way after several years together. I loved her so much and could never imagine myself with any other woman. I just wish she would have told me she wanted a divorce before she did all this. I now question everything in the past year and a half and a lot things make sense. She never seemed remorseful or extremely apologetic. If I were her, I would be super apologetic, realizing that I might have put our 17-year-old relationship, marriage, at jeopardy. That's the thing that bugs me the most about all of this. I feel like my marriage was my prized possession, especially considering how much years I had invested in it. It saddens me to think that after that many years I have nothing to show for. The past 3 years I thought it might have been the job, so I was applying to jobs for her while she worked late, hoping she could get a job that isn't 60 miles away and not so stressful so that we could see each other more. She never seemed motivated or driven herself to find another job to improve her quality life and mine. But just looking back, maybe it was a good escape to be 60 miles away from where we live and easier to do whatever she wants. Sadly, I don't think she was ready to commit to the married life. An update in case someone is ever in a similar situation. You guys were all right about her having a full-blown physical relationship with the guy. I continued to try to make it work even after finding her burner phone. A lot has happened since then. I ended up figuring out her passcode to her phone, which ended up being the guy's birth date. Found out she had an IUD and never told me about it. Continued texting him while he used a different phone number. Found her hanging out with him at a bar with other friends when she was not supposed to be even seeing him. And the craziest of all, the guy ends up being a psycho and they end up fighting because the guy found an inappropriate text conversation on her phone with another guy. The audacity. I won't waste my time on that story, but just know that I was happy to be out of all of it. In March I finally filed for divorce and told her beforehand in person that I would file. I walked out of the house and left. For a week she never called or texted begging me not to file. So, I filed. Wednesday of last week, June 27th, the judge granted me the divorce and everything has been finalized. I wish I would have listened to you guys back in December and not have prolonged this hell further, but I think I was in denial and also didn't want to have any regrets that I didn't try hard enough. I've learned a lot from this experience and hopefully others reading this situation will too. Never let your guard down. If you feel something isn't right, do something about it early, like put a stop to it. Also, people change. Apparently the woman I fell in love in high school was completely different than the one from the past 3 years. After 18 years it's now time to enjoy the single life. There was no true genuine remorse. She did apologize recently, albeit on the phone, which was so impersonal, and she was still denying certain things in her affair, which only pissed me off even more. I've accepted that she's a compulsive liar and will always be one, and I'll never get the closure I deserve. The last 2 months I've not given one crap about anything to do with her or the situation, and it's been a great feeling. My comment: be prepared for her to come crawling back begging for another chance if OM dumps her, which is almost guaranteed to happen after his BW finally discovers the affair. He won't be getting D and giving up half his assets and paying child support for 3 kids. Sometimes it takes time for these OP to realize. Most affairs follow the same pattern. Story 2. My wife and I are just now getting out of a very rough spot. Next week on the 23rd of March 2021 we will celebrate our 20th anniversary. For a while I didn't think we were going to make it to 20. A little less than 2 months ago, my wife dropped a bombshell. After having a couple of drinks, as we often do on the weekend together, she apparently worked up enough nerve to tell me that although she still loved me, she was no longer in love with me and that she wanted to be single. Her words, almost verbatim. Well, suffice it to say I did not take the news well. Some of the things I did really didn't help. I cried, I yelled, I attempted to guilt, shame, and scare her into staying. I used our financial situation as leverage, reminding her that the lion's share of our income was being generated by me. Well, none of this worked, and in fact, it made her resentful and pushed her even further away. I almost blew it. So, what happened? What changed? Well, first I stopped trying to influence her directly. I tried to be more upbeat, and we started talking, a lot. You can only change yourself. But if you change, your partner's reactions to you and your actions will likely change as well. There were things I didn't know about that I needed to hear. Some of them were not pleasant, but how can you fix something if you don't even know that it's broken? I was a bad listener for one. Sometimes, unbeknownst to me, I sucked in the sack. I was stuck too much in my own head and viewpoint and was not seeing things from her side. So, my advice to any other person, especially husbands facing this issue, is don't panic, don't overreact. You are only going to antagonize your wife and make the situation worse. I strove to be a better listener to my wife and to be more sympathetic to her needs, wants, and opinions. She felt valued and in turn was more open to expressing affection toward me, which is the way I feel loved. Update: hey guys, I don't know what to say, but the wife and I are doing well. Maybe I just lucked out, maybe she felt guilty for what she was thinking of doing or did. I still have no proof that she ever did anything. But FYI, I do have proof that she's not doing it now. I feel a little bad about it, but I'm an IT guy and installed spyware on her phone including GPS tracking. Since I've done that, there has been nothing in the logs that is cause for concern. I get every text she does, and like I said, it also shows where she is every 15 minutes. I am going to uninstall it. She's done nothing to make me distrust her since we started working on stuff together. Anyway, we still fight every now and then, but it is much more civil and she is affectionate towards me, initiating not just reciprocating. Maybe 20 years and 3 kids count for something. Maybe her seeing me try so damn hard to try to keep her did. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe the counseling helped. Maybe it was all of the above. You can only control one person's actions in any relationship, your own. It has been the most important lesson I have learned. I am far from perfect, and so is my spouse. We are working on it. Things are much better, but we have a long road ahead of us to try to repair the damage of years and years of bad habits, bad behavior, and bad communication. However, the thing is, we are trying. As in my wife and me. Will we make it? I don't know. I do know that we are both going to give it all we have. Edit, update, today, in fact, just minutes ago in a phone conversation, my wife thanked me for not giving up on her. So, all you haters and doubters, feel free to spin this as you like. I am nothing special, I don't know the answers, but I was able to finally see the light that I was ruining my marriage and pushing my wife away by my actions and inactions, and was able to begin to try to fix it. Moreover, I was nothing more than lucky that somewhere deep in her heart there was still the tiniest of embers of the feelings she had for me that I was able to rekindle. Perhaps in another few weeks or maybe even another day or two, and that may have not been the case. I really want to emphasize that this was not easy in any way, shape or form, and I too am surprised by how much I've gotten back in a few months, because my wife herself told me that she didn't get to not in love state overnight. She said she really tried to tell me she wasn't happy for some time, but let me tell you, though, I just didn't get it. I thought it was a fleeting feeling. She did not get through to me that it was as pervasive as it was. She'd say something, maybe I'd be a little more this or that for a while. She would then stop complaining and I thought all was well. In reality, she just was frustrated and gave up. She has said that she should have been better about making me understand the urgency and or the depth of the issue. So that's a communication issue on both our parts. But I am not the victim. I didn't listen. I didn't give her what she needed. I pushed her away with 1,000,001 bad habits and inconsideration, all the while being clueless about it. But now I do know. Again, she had thought I couldn't change and gave up, and then I upped and changed on her. That threw her for a loop. So first she had to see that I was serious and it wasn't a fleeting temporary thing, and 2, she had to process it. Maybe it seems fast, She said for her the issue has existed for years. For me, from my standpoint, it was an all-of-a-sudden thing, but that was perception and not reality. Her reaction makes more sense if you look at few things. 1. Our relationship used to be absolutely fabulous, and even the remote possibility of getting that back was a pretty big carrot to dangle in front of her. 2. Our relationship is a mature one. I think the weight of breaking up a 20-year marriage is more than, say, a 5-year one. Lastly, she is and was considering our children and how our splitting up would affect them. So, my making these changes to fix our relationship played to her long hoped-for desires that she had finally given up on. When she saw me do some of the things that she long hoped I would, at first, she was incredulous, and also thought that maybe it was too little too late. But my persistence, and how I attacked on several fronts, finally convinced her to give me a final shot at it. That's really it. She could have decided it was too late, or simply that she would be better off without me, but she didn't. It's been another month or so since I first posted this, and while it hasn't been completely smooth, it has been a hell of a lot better. She has owned up to some of things she did wrong, including not trying to get help, counseling, sooner, and her failure to convey to me the true nature and depth of the issues in our marriage. Like I said, I am not the victim here. I got comfortable and worse, complacent. I took her for granted. I was a crappy listener. I didn't fulfill her needs because I didn't bother to find out exactly what she needed from me. Here comes a crappy analogy. Marriage is like a bicycle. You won't go very far without effort. And if you do notice that you've been coasting for a while, it is more than likely due to the fact that you are going downhill. So yes, she walked away emotionally. But I don't think she had an affair. In fact, she said that that was one of the reasons she wanted to split. She said she cared too much about me and respected me as the father of her kids too much to have an affair on me. At the time she told me she wanted out, she thought she might be happier with someone else, and even that I might be as well. But she changed her mind. People actually do that. Now I feel that we're on the same side now that she has decided to stay. She has joined me in my effort not just to save the marriage, but to make it great again, maybe someday to be better than it's ever been. We had another talk last night, and she apologized again for things she had done and said, and again thanked me for not going down without a fight, because it made her realize that she was mistaken and that I wasn't incapable of change, and what's more, that our marriage was worth saving. Update: I guess all the naysayers were right. We're back in the toilet again. I don't quite know what happened again. Blindsided Part 2. I am sorry about giving false hope to others. I am sure there are some happy endings somewhere. The romantic in me needs to believe that, but mine will not be among them. I don't know what to do. I don't want to screw up my kids' lives, but I can't live in a loveless marriage, or worse yet, just play dad while she goes out and makes a new life with someone else. She told me I need someone who is a better fit, and this time, I actually agree with her. I still love her, of course, but I won't heal while she's around me. But I can't keep my house without her, and the situation with the kids' school is very complicated. I am truly beyond myself, and don't know what to do. I wish I would have gotten a clue years ago when I actually might have had a better chance. I know I am not without fault, but she really did not make the seriousness of the situation clear to me, and maybe that's on both of us. I should have gotten it, but she really should have tried to make me get it. If I could have saved what was once a beautiful relationship and avoid all this mess, I would have. Would have, should have, could have. It's all moot now. Life sucks for me right now. I am living with someone who almost daily breaks my heart or my balls. She is acting single even though we're still married. I am just a ball and chain for her in her mind. I really want a divorce. I cannot abide this emasculation much longer, but I am worried about the number it's going to my kids. But God help me, I just can't deal with her crap anymore. If we didn't have kids, I would dump her on her ass already. She is getting all the benefits of being my wife without having to put anything into the relationship. If someone sees me around town, do a favor and hit me a truck, it would be faster and more humane. She'd have her freedom, I wouldn't suffer, and my kids would be taken care from my life insurance. She is definitely having an EA, and it's only a matter of time before she does the deed. She and I are musicians, and she's living this rock and roll fantasy right now, an almost 43-year-old woman playing in a rock band and running around all painted up in tight and short dresses. I used to feel bad when my band practices ran late and was a little late getting back to her, and the kids and I resented my band. Her band is the center of her universe right now, and she's gone with them for hours at a time, while I'm stuck at home with the kids. I want to get proof of infidelity so I can have her be at fault in the divorce. So, I guess I'm going to have to suck it up a bit longer. She is reaping all the benefits of being my wife, but is no longer holding up her end of the bargain. She parties with friends and goes out and stays out late. She leaves me with the kids. She smokes pot every day and speaks to me only rarely to communicate something that must be done, such as one child or another needing to be picked or dropped off. She still sort of cooks and cleans, sort of. I am the breadwinner, but we need every penny, including the ones she brings in from her crappy retail part-time job. I don't want to finance my wife's affairs and partying, but if I get a divorce, we'll probably lose the house and my kids will be cast into chaos. I feel trapped. Comment: you are doormat right now, letting your wife disrespect you. Take half your money and put it in your own bank account. Change your direct deposit to your new account. Get rid of any debts, payments. Go on a tight budget and figure out how to make it work. Go see an attorney and figure out how this will impact you financially. I paid $100 for an hour for my initial consultation. Some attorneys will do it for free. Your kids deserve to not see your marriage as their benchmark. OP responds, I still am having a hard time, but the more I think about, the more I feel that my spouse lacks empathy and respect for me. I deserve a partner who can be with me without feeling as though she's somehow settled. There surely must be someone out there who would be just the right fit for me. She can have her freedom, but her freedom will be at a great price. I take some consolation that I am not the one who wanted to throw in the towel. I wasn't the one to start partying at all hours. I am not the person who says mean and hurtful things to the father of her children. This is really very complicated. She doesn't make enough to support herself, possibly even with child support, and, unlikely in my state, spousal support. I can't afford an apartment for myself and pay everything else. I really am at loss here. Yes, I want out, but I don't want myself, my kids, and even my ex to become homeless in the process. Then to anyone who is in the same boat, how can I force myself to stomach this when I'm still in grieving mode? I am sort of accepting, but it's still sinking in. But her nonchalance at the whole situation is very upsetting to me. If I were tougher, I probably wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. I know a lot of people do the marriage of convenience thing, but I am just not in the emotional state to deal with that right now, although I really have no choice in the matter. I need ideas on how to deal, how to cope, because a divorce is not happening, at least not anytime soon. I left my house on Wed. Night, June 29th. I haven't set foot in the house since then. We had a fight, a bad one. It was made clear that I was no longer welcomed in my home. I have only seen my children for about an hour's time in those 16 days. She is not keeping from me. My kids are mad at me because they witnessed our last fight. I am sure they blame me, which is hilarious because it was my wife who wanted out, not me. This whole damn nightmare is due to the fact that she has fallen out of love with me and wants to live her own life. Should things get messy, and they will, I know I will be made to be the bad guy because I want to officially and legally end our marriage. My wife wanted me to just sit by while she starts dating other people, and I should just be glad to be in the house with the kids. It would be more convenient to co-parent that way. That was her idea. Can you imagine the nerve? Well, I couldn't hack the pain and humiliation of being husband to a single wife for whom her vows mean nothing any longer. It wasn't for my kids I would have kicked out a long time ago. That takes us back to top. In the 6 months since she stated she wanted out, my life has been hell. The fights got worse and worse until that night. The day after I left, I got every article of clothing I owned packed in 2 suitcases and some toiletries and dumped in my car while I was at work. She threw all my musical equipment in the trunk. I have been staying at the home of the drummer of one of my bands, largely without compensation and because of the kindness of this heart. However, I cannot afford even this situation financially for very long, as I now have to eat on my own, and I have to gas in my car, etc. Unfortunately, the soon-to-be ex-wife, STBX henceforth, has stated that she can never live with me again. So, what choice do I have? I want a divorce and to be done with her as soon as possible. However, she is cake-eating. She doesn't mind having access to my money and being on my insurance, but she has stopped holding up her end of the contract. No affection, no intimacy, I suspect possible unfaithfulness as well. She is emotionally and verbally abused to me and has even been physical a couple of times. I just don't know how this is my problem. I pay the damn mortgage. She works and we need every penny she makes as well. But it's a few drops in the bucket compared to what I bring home. The funny thing about this is that the separation has actually allowed me room to actually begin to heal from the wounds of our 20-year marriage disintegrating. I don't feel like walking in front of bus anymore since she's not in my face every day to remind me of what I've lost. I really need to try find legal aid, but I'm broke. I can enroll in my company's group legal plan in November and they can handle divorce, but I don't know if I can hold on till then. August 10th, 44th day of separation. Yesterday was our youngest child's 13th birthday and we took him out as family to eat. It was the first time my SBTX and I had been around each other for any appreciable length of time in over a month. All in all, I guess it went all right. There only one moment last night where she kind of upset me. I got defensive about something and then she was a bit mean to me. I don't understand how she can so hateful toward me when over half of her life I loved her with every ounce of my being. I am her kid's dad, for God's sake. I still love her. I know I shouldn't, but I still do. Even though she is cruel and toxic, part of me still hopes and prays that somehow she'll snap out of it. Anyway, before I start getting flamed about being a victim, I know that there is no hope. I am just having to process at my own speed, which very slowly. Every day is a little easier, but I have a long way to go. Like comment, you should not have moved out. She cannot make you move if that house is jointly in both your names. Now she can have her lawyer-level abandonment charges against you, which she can use against you for the custody hearing. She is a smart cookie and you have stepped in every trap she has laid for you. Get back in that house. Oh, and by the way, she's most likely cheating on you. That is why she wants out. Start getting smart. Go see a lawyer and get educated. Like tomorrow. OP responds, I'm trying to date as an attempt to deal with the loss of my ex. I am trying to find another long-term partner. I'm not interested in a quick lay. So perhaps I am being too hasty, but I just don't want to stand around being a victim. I am not that much of a loser. I don't want to be alone and I can't get her back, so I'm trying to find someone new.